This is Coconut Mall in the year 2008. Life flowed through it, and fond memories were made. The timeline of all memes began. This was the birth of this iconic stage that would spring up 3 more times currently in Mario Kart history. However, this is Coconut Mall now in 20XX. Abandoned, desolate, and a shell of its former glory. What happened? Time happened, and we're going to be exploring it very shortly. There's something very interesting about digital memories. If you can remember them, those environments will always be the same. Take a real mall, for example. You may have grown up at the mall nearby, but now that mall may be closed. It's abandoned, rotting. People probably are urban exploring it, hoping to find the entrance to the back rooms, or that weird dude on wheels. It forever degrades once people no longer maintain it. However, Coconut Mall is always the same. It's chipper, arguably lively, and you can always jump back to it, in whatever form you like. But what if time marched on and the mall closed? If you went back to it today and explored its deserted shell, what would those memories feel like? Would you feel sad? I don't know, man. I love Urban X videos and exploring weird stuff. So that's what we're going to do. We're stepping out of the car and not riding through this mall as fast as possible. We're not glitching out of bounds to make a fast lap. We're taking it slow, on foot in the dark with a flashlight. Perhaps looking at and exploring some things you never knew about this mall before, like walking around on the roof or the inaccessible top floor. In fact, this whole mall doesn't make sense, as there are several unaccounted for areas. So we are going to hop around to a few different places as we explore. So first off is the center parking lot. This place looks a lot different at night. Now historically, this place used to be full of huge cars, like they were made for giants or something, even too large for Piantas, as this mall is on Isle Delfino. Who were these vehicles for? I still wonder to this day. Now normally, this dark parking lot wasn't explorable due to invisible walls, but it was utilized in a very popular glitch where people would break out of bounds. This would let people ride around in circles, clipping in and out of the parking lot, allowing them to finish this entire race in like under a minute. So there's some historic trivia for ya. But now we have no cars, and those days of racing are far behind us. There are 2 adjacent parking lots that the player never got inside of, as they would normally ride by them. These 2 are empty, but there's a few things I want to touch on out here. First, we have these informational signs that supposedly provide helpful guidance. I'm not sure they do though, considering the compression. We also have these massive flowers. Now, scaling was already a problem with this game, considering nothing really lines up. Devs have to make things bigger as you race by them, so you can register what they are. So lots of things are oversized compared to our player. Now, climbing these archways really scratches a nostalgic itch for me. So just pause for a moment and vibe with me. My friends and I used to stay up late in high school and just kind of bum around and chill. Like it's 1 a.m. on the weekend, and you're driving out to a Walmart to get snacks because it's the only place open. So you just chill in the parking lot outside the store and chat. Nothing you have to do tomorrow, no plan for the night. Just 100% present in your own small world. I miss those days. Did you have a spot like that? Digital or real? Share it in the comments below as we mosey on down from this arch. Now, something you may not remember about this map is what the actual beach looks like, because you can't normally get over to it. Even if we tried, like so, you're gonna fall through the ground. But I fixed that. So as we make our way out across the grass near the edge of the mall, we'll see the mall actually gets reduced to textured flat plains. It's kind of spooky. But we can see there's a road here, and technically this road has to lead somewhere on Isle Delfino. It's a desert bus straight though, and goes on for quite a while. The trees out here are flat, as is the sand, and as is the water. It's kind of ominous being over here in the dark, not gonna lie. Anyone want to go for a late night swim? Now that I'm out here, I can't help but notice that this mall is dangerously close to sea level. Just a mere 6 inches, and the parking lot would probably flood. Considering how bad the flooding was in Super Mario Sunshine's Delfino Plaza, I want to test that. Oh dang! Yeah, that's rough. Even if the water was just high enough to flood the parking lot and not taller than the medians used to outline the parking spaces, we have issues. For reference, this is how high the water is at the front steps. Basically a few inches above where the water normally is for this map. Thankfully, the mall entrances are elevated. Unthankfully, this mall has a basement. And if we take a peek inside, we'll see it's all flooded down here. There's plenty of soggy stores too. Honestly, if this place was abandoned, then there would be water in here more than likely given the roof neglect. Not to mention tropical storms. Yikes. So keep this terrifying thought in your mind for a bit as we undo this watery disaster. Back outside, there are many entrances to this mall outside the main one. One is positioned over in the leftmost inaccessible parking lot, and walking up the stairs reveals they aren't flush against the mall. We can actually fall behind them. If we run around the side of the mall, we can clip inside the wall and see that this entire area is empty. It is kind of neat walking through this place considering you only ever see it in the background. The opening over on the other side, past the main entrance, has a mall interior texture applied to the glass there. This, of course, doesn't line up anywhere internally, as there are no openings or areas that actually lead here. Unless they bricked up this entire entrance right here, which we'll talk about later. Now, as we approach the mall's main entrance, we can take in that big old sign. And I want to stress again as we walk inside, the proportions of this mall don't line up. Like, these are handrails on the escalators, so they should be at my waist. But if I was that tall, then my head would be hitting the hanging signs. Also, the bikes and cars in these levels are small enough to be stopped by the rails and other objects, so it's just odd. Now, you may have not noticed this before, but above us at the front of the mall, before the escalator, is a balcony. There's no way to get up there, yet it has a handrail so people don't fall. We can magically climb up here though, and see that the handrail only is visible outward. But there's a distinct lack of doors or anything that would allow anyone to get up here normally. Let's hop on down now and not break our legs. The escalator looks huge to us as we run up it, but you'll see as we make our way up to these storefronts that we feel like we are now sized correctly, minus the giant floor tiles. So there's a coconut cafe store and a cocoa coffee. If we bypass the glass, this is what these interiors look like. They're almost pixel art-like. It makes you wonder what the full resolutions used to look like before they were reduced and the detail was lost. Just as a reminder, these stores and areas used to be populated by Miis, and around these bends you would find piantas jumping up and down. Massive piantas, mind you. The Coco Mode store still has people burned into the background, which is kind of haunting. Should I report this to the police, even though I'm trespassing? Now, up around this bend is an area that is normally inaccessible. Even trying to get past it in the game would have you fall to the bottom floor. Speaking of that bottom floor though, in-game you can actually drive out the back wall way out into the void. Probably the most optimal hide-and-seek spot if you got past the red barriers. It's kind of bizarre that the ground collider goes out this far. On the other end of this bottom floor, there is a weird limbo space back here. You can drive down and back here normally, although there isn't any point. It's just an odd corner where no NPC driver will ever go. We have a Moo Moo Dairy and a Fun Flower store here, and I never noticed this until now, but the Moo Moo Dairy sign is textured with the same name all the way around. You can see this in-game too. Back up on the second floor of this abandoned mall, I've restored the ability to walk on the inaccessible flooring beyond those barriers, essentially walking where no one has ever walked before. There's a Coco Cute that kind of looks like a dress store, and a Matu World, which looks like it provides nice attire for families. Tropical Bakery, for some reason, has the same interior as Coco Cute, so maybe they're the ones who are baking. As we make our way around, we'll encounter some duplicate stores and some new ones. Lady Coco is the only one with a non-repeat name though. Coming out of this loop, I did not notice this before, but there's actually a misalignment in the floor in front of Beauty Maniac. This exists in the Mario Kart Wii model itself, and you probably can't see it too well over the barrier while playing normally. Beauty Maniac's sign also has repeat textures all the way around. If we stay out of bounds, we can come around to the center fountain in the mall. The giant beach ball coconut sign is gone now, and the fountain is off. We can follow around this outer ledge and hope the floor doesn't give out as we hop over this leftover barrier. I do want to loop back over to Delfino Dream though. Do you remember that? This store was an alternative route you could take while racing. It's still stocked with all the attire it once had. We can hop the counter over here and see there's no back to it, as the items are flattened into textures. Making our way downstairs, we can check out that fountain up close. I wonder how many years it has been since it last flowed. Although I'm not sure where the water ever came out. Now, below us will kill us during regular gameplay if we try going down there. Same goes for the front part of the grassy area off to the side. Let's check out both though, because they are normally hard to see. The grassy area has multiple storefronts, and I didn't mess with the walls over here because the wall models were being a bit weird, hence why they look a bit different than usual. but this is a pleasant green space that is typically off limits. Now the down below area that kills us is interesting, because it's the area that flooded due to the sea level. Ironically, it's also flooded to the same point in Mario Kart 7. So that means they had to have destroyed the bottom part of this mall and all the stores down there to create this moat. But the palm trees are still there in Mario Kart 7 and are sticking out of the water. So perhaps this was not an intentional flooding at all, which is pretty terrifying, considering this whole upper level could collapse. Down here though, we'll find it's barren. There's just some stores and flowers, but that's it. There's another texture showing off that more of the mall exists beyond this point, so the basement goes on for quite a while. Back up top, something you can't ever see is that there's a space behind every escalator. We are able to walk back here and check them out, and it's the escalator steps that close off this right triangle alcove. Moving on, I never understood the metal ramps here, and to be honest, I still don't. It's a very wasteful use of space for anyone who would like to actually walk the mall. This next section is open to the night sky, so there's no roof over our head. All the signage is still up here, and there's another inactive fountain. Oddly, this giant metal ramp over here cuts off a part of the mall that has storefronts. I feel like this would be a bad location for a shop given people may not see it. Also, this brick wall to the left seals off the far entrance to the mall, which is a choice, I suppose. That's one way to stop people from breaking in. At the top of this metal ramp, we'll find the old food court area. Man, you just gonna rush past this, don't you? There's a lot to see here. Although, I will say it's hard to read the signs. It looks like they offered mushroom burgers and different kinds of juices. I'm having a hard time reading this though, so maybe you can figure it out. We can actually see a mirrored question block that is backwards in the display case, but there's an area behind this too. So let's jump this barrier and imagine some days in food service. There's more advertisements for items on the back wall, but the space back here is pretty empty. What's most odd is that the Cocoa Burger has nowhere to cook, or even doors that would lead to where a kitchen could be. It's just a huge counter with multiple stations, and no methods to even pay. It's an interesting choice, I must say. Now this is where the track splits. One route above, and one where we are. But I do want to point out that this mall sign is copy and pasted all over. Everywhere is Market Square Central Ave, and I've seen no toilets or elevators of any kind here. Perhaps that's why the mall closed down. No one could understand how to get anywhere, and they had multiples of the same store. Anyway, we're going to walk down below this metal staircase to show off some posters. These posters used to have faces of Mies on them, but as you can see, they are blank. I do really like this yellow cat portrait though. It's Cat Mario from 3D World, 5 years before 3D World was even a thing. The foreshadowing on display here is amazing. Now this is a bit of a safety hazard, as are all Mario Kart tracks. But the mall just spits you out into a 20-foot drop. And it gets worse because we can go upstairs. Taking the metal ramp up leads to a "Have a nice day" sign, which is very misleading considering we're about to fall to our death. That's a long way down. I wonder how many people accidentally died here, possibly leading to the mall's closure. We can access the roof while we're up here though, which is very sweet because it normally lacks a collider. So we are going to jump up and get dangerously close to the edge. Don't try this at home, kids. It's rather pleasant up here, and it kind of reminds me of the one time I saw a bunch of kids dumpster diving off a school roof into a huge bin of discarded books, which is a crime in itself. Anyway, the lighting up here gets a bit weird as we explore the roof, but we can eventually walk out to the opening where the small outside area is, and we'll get a pleasant view of it from above. I'm just hoping the roof is stable enough to hold my weight. Ironically, I tried making an exploratory video like this a few times starting in 2022 and ended up abandoning it. Although at that time, it was about Sega's defunct online worlds. I even scrapped the voiceover twice. Maybe I'll try that concept again someday. Down below, walking through the hole in the wall near the spare entrance lets us step into an out-of-bounds area that cannot normally be accessed. But at this point, I feel we've done well in covering this place top to bottom with our urban exploration. Cheers to the memories and the haunting emptiness that remains. I hope you all learned something mildly interesting.